Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to another installment of that subset, that delightful, delectable subset of the Quick View series, which are indeed the rear views. Can you get them? Maybe. Can you buy them? No, they don't make them anymore. It's another of the Class 1, Class 3s is what they call them. It's a 2.2. It's even smaller than an LP 2.2. This is something that there are, off the top of my head, only a couple of examples available today. Canyon RT off the TRX-6. RC 4-wheel drive makes that Baja MTX that's 2.2 but like 475. These aren't that 475. RT is the same thing. This is that 2.2, 5-inch tall, but still real fat. We're looking at a hieroglyphic tire. Maybe the most Panther Cougar looking tire I've seen. It has little triangles instead of little pins like the Cougar has. This is, of course, the Losi Rock. Is it okay? If it says Rock Claws with an S, is a single one a Rock Claw, or is it a Rock Claws? I don't know how that works. These are the Losi Rock Claws, which I am positive are discontinued, as Losi, following the Horizon thing, is pretty much out of the crawler market. There are no Losi crawlers because they have Arma for bashers and Axial. They have Axial for rock crawlers. So they don't want to compete within their own brand. So why don't they just change the name on the side and re-release these? Well, Axial doesn't make a tire even rupture adjacent anymore. And as I'm going through the mental database, they don't make anything like a pin either. Axial purveys scale tires and that are not made well. So we're going pre-Axial takeover 125, which is... So 5 inches is like 128. So we're just under 5. So this is like a 495, which for a 2.2, that is a super LP, and 55 wide, which is not nearly as wide as some others. That's pretty, well, let's see. Here's an LP 2.2 Tusk. It is, like 47 wide. That's just the same width as a Class 2. But this is a good bit shorter. So these are little short, fat guys. Pretty much the same footprint, if memory serves, as the Proline Hammer. And I want to say, also, I have a set of foams that sit aside for this specific task. And I believe the same foams that went in the Hammers are the foam in the Rock Claws. These tires are what I would estimate to be modestly directional. So we've got these little, they look kind of like goldfish crackers, or this one does. They kind of all look like Swedish fish. So we got a Swedish fish tread pattern going on. I have the fish swimming forward. Someone is going to say, oh no, you got to turn around and run the other way. Well, I'm not going to. It has now become a thing that I enjoy, where virtually every video with a tire in it, someone will say, run that tire backwards. And I have done this in the past. I have entertained these notions in the past an amount of times that I would consider to be one time too many. Because you know what? They never get better when run backwards. Never. The tread pattern is there for a reason. Tires that are modestly or cosmetically directional, like this, like a rupture, something where a lug has a forward and a backward, you might be able to flip these around, and there might be some difference in like the way the rear slides, the way the front turns in. You can sort of optimize them to the build, but say for instance, we were to take these two and flip them around and run them the other way. It might help or harm this vehicle, but on some other build and some other configuration, it might have a completely different effect. Because these I would put in there with ruptures and others where the tread pattern is cosmetically directional. And we'll bring them back out. So the Tusk has what I call the chevron. We run them pointing forward. You can indeed flip them around and run them backward like this. On some vehicles that are dig equipped, I will run the rear tires in this configuration because I find that the ability to pivot and maneuver while under dig is better with them pointing backwards. With them pointing backwards in the front, I don't like it. I don't like what it does to the steering response. So there is an effect, right? But I'm not talking about tires like that. I'm talking about tires like this. These go this way. You know what they do like this? They're terrible because the tread pushes out. It's like running a massive amount of tow out. So the vehicle goes, and you have no, predictability is gone. The one that is most recent and fresh in my mind are Dirt Trex Deepwoods, which are run in this configuration, as you can tell by the wear pattern on the front. And inevitably, someone will say, run them like this. It's the same thing. The chevron now points away. So when this lug engages, all it's going to do is shuttle you out of the way. They don't work better backwards. Best case scenario, you might get a negligible change forward and backwards. This, of course, does not include tires like HB Rovers. Any tire with a directional arrow on it, like a Canyon Trail or a Proline Aztec, which has an arrow that says direction, or a tire like the aforementioned Rover, which has an AB, every build will be different. What I have tended to find in the AB tires, like Rovers and Sedonas, I like A forward in the front and B forward in the rear. Something about the positionability. One bites a little more, but they are, again, if someone were to take your tires and juggle them around and you had BBAA, you might actually not notice. This is that thing. I have made this analogy before in the past more than once, and I'll do it again right now. I'm not afraid. Anyone that has the ability to maintain balance can get on a bicycle and ride 10 miles right now. Seems like a long distance. You could ride 10 miles with no issues. Anyone, so long as you're physically capable and you can get on the bicycle, you could ride 100 miles in one day. You could ride 100 miles. It will be very uncomfortable towards the end of it, and there will be a massive mental portion that you have to overcome. But you could do it. Because when you get on a bike to ride 10 miles, it doesn't even matter. You could borrow the bike from the neighbor's kid and ride it, and you could ride 10 miles and you would survive. Because the setup isn't going to matter. It's not until you spend hours and hours and hours and hours on the bike that you start to find out these tiny little bits, points of contact. And relative to these, we have a singular point of contact. It occurs in 4 places, but it is a singular point of contact. The only part of the vehicle that actually interfaces with the ground is right here. When you're on a bike, it's the saddle, the pedals, and the handlebars. That's what interfaces with your body. You start to feel these pressure points here. You feel it here. You feel the way in your shins, but you don't feel it riding 10 miles. You feel it when you ride after over and over and over and over and over and over and over. So when you take a set of tires, something like this, out of the bag and you put them on the vehicle, it might be blunt to say, but you have no idea what the best way to drive them is. You need to drive them, and then you need to move them, and you need to experiment with it. So when somebody says to me, run the tires backwards, against my own better personal judgment, I take that personally. That is someone saying, oh, you don't know how tires work. Well, I've tested a couple of these, and every single video that I do testing a tire gets at least one dislike on it, because I say something that someone doesn't like. And you know what? That's unscientific, is what it is, because we are purveyors of pseudoscience where we attempt to the best of our abilities to minimize variables. We run the same vehicle for Class 3s. We run the same vehicle to run Class 2s. We're building a vehicle specifically to test Class 1s. We run them on the same obstacles, under what we hope to be the same conditions. I know, without doing it, what a tire will do run reverse relative to how it does run forward. And I've never been surprised. I've never put one on and gone, oh my God, it is so much better backwards. That's not how tires work. At least not here. If it is your perception that they work better when run reverse and on your terrain you have gotten measurable, quantifiably superior results, then by all means, don't flip them around. Keep running them the way that suits your terrain, your style, and everything else that fills in the all-encompassing circle. We're going to run these like this. Swedish fish pointing forward. I will sit in breathful anticipation of comments to the contrary. So after just 4 trips or so where I thought I had everything, you grab everything, you got it, and then you realize it was too easy to make it back here. First, I forgot the battery on the field view monitor. No problem. Did not notice I forgot to bring this. So the most recent trip was to go get the radio. It's still Losi Rock Claws. It is 50-40 today. 50 degrees, 40% relative humidity. This might be the perfect situation for a tire. We've seen 50-50. This is 50-40. How are we doing? I heard a little bit of lug chatter, but again, fresh mounted. And by fresh mounted, I mean, yes, actually mounted a couple days ago, but they haven't touched the ground. So, also, these are of indeterminate age, but they are definitely not youthful. There's a little bit of slip out at the front end. That was pretty nice right there. Little shuttly. Can we cut it back? Little more wheel speed will get us that cut back. That's okay. It's all right. Let's see. We're not getting, I feel like on the hammer, little more deflection out of them. These are acting a tiny bit hard, which is not to be unexpected at all. There's a little bit of sidewall degradation, a little tiny bit. Like they're starting to give up a little bit. Yeah, they're goers though. And the expectations for Class 3, C3s, the short Class 3s, the expectation is fairly high. It's fairly high. I want to say, as a collective, I think the full bore, 5'8" tall, 140 plus millimeter, I think those guys are the real elite Sedonas, chisels. This might be the first Losi on the sidewall tire we've tested though. See through here. Because what I am noticing from these, they're a little slippy, but I didn't hear any skid contact at any point. So deflection is fairly low on this insert, same insert from the hammer, but we're going through cleaner. There we go. We'll get it hung up. Can we pull off of that mechanical? Trying to get the tire up and over. Kind of had to bump it through. Let me take one more around. We'll go straight. Turning circle, a little rough. So at full lock, we're getting a little bit of lug slide. It's just kind of sliding across the ground. Straight over bean. Ooh, got pushed a little. That push was actually initiated by passenger rear, the one that is going over the bean. Yeah, it is. Again, we're talking about a class of tire, a group of tires that the expectations are like, you got to do something amazing. What are you waiting for? I don't know, something amazing. Still waiting for something amazing. I think this is the first Class 3 test we've run on the new board, which has the obstacles in order. So I don't accidentally walk to the wrong place once or potentially twice. Yeah, got that little rise, but the bonus of that rise coming up staircase is that we didn't go over backwards. There's where the advantage leans a little towards the Class 1, Class 3. Yeah, that's good drive right there. So, as that foam, the foam in this size tends to be an overstuff. They look too wide and too tall. Tires of this era all kind of have this overstuff foam nature to them. Not to the level of like a Panther. The Cougar, the foam is at least 50% wider than the tire and probably 50% again taller, 150% the height of the tire. These are overstuffed. They look like they're going in like a Rover. You can get a little bit of something about the hieroglyphic lug. You can get a little bit of, I don't know, settle into a spot in the wheelbase and just kind of spin. Okay, there's low height. We can't do that. Showing also again that Wolverines do not bounce. It just clank. All right, this is a tough shot right here. Oh, it's doing that pretty nice. There's not a huge, like the side lug does not drop down too far onto the sidewall. But it's well enough. That's really nice. Okay, I want to try that. Ooh, got a little bit too much fence there. See if we can line this up. The steering response is not killed. I'm just used to a little bit sharper response on other tires. I don't mind it. We've exchanged a little bit. The lug layout trends a little bit more towards forward drive. Kind of stuck in, pop loose there. I want to come in real tight on the inside. Did not start my turn early enough because I could not see what I was doing. Now, do we have enough to pull that? Oh, very nearly. Very nearly. Yeah. That's a big ask for a sub 5-inch tall tire. We're asking Class 3 stuff of it. Yeah. There we go. That's tough for you. Backslide. Moving over towards this side is a tougher claim. There it is. That's really nice. This tire is closer, much closer to a Class 2 in terms of vertical height than it is to a Class 3. So some of the asks in the Class 3 protocol are going to be a little tough, but I think the Claw, with the stability handed to us by, being 3/4 of an inch shorter, it's all a compromise. We're getting equal, at least equal to what we're giving. And I think everything about the Claw leads towards side hill performance. Like we have a lower sidewall height, advantageous. We have a lug suited towards it. Yeah, that was startlingly good. That was as good as any have done it. We will do the seesaw. Like the stability. You feel like you're at risk of stability surplus, but luckily that's not a thing unless you're a stock 10 Pro. Then you're giving up so much of every other aspect of performance in favor of stability that you start to have to try to attack that stable nature. Do a little. That's how we can get the rear end to slide over, and then just whatever throttle amount you want. It doesn't even try to lift. It can't. It's more difficult to pivot over that low tire because transferring the weight through it, getting the squat through it, they just want to stay stuck down. So we had next to nothing on slide away. I tried to reverse into it, but came down too low. Yeah, this feels like the lateral drive through here, and when you get that side lug kind of wedged in, these pull as hard or harder than most anything now, and definitely on par with its then contemporaries. So we expect no surprises here at Undertaker, provided that the fluid head doesn't like the cold. My hands don't like it either. And yes, I know there are people out there sitting and you're looking outside your window now and going, 50's cold? Well, there's a soft breeze. So we're real soft out here in California. But we can handle 115 in the summer. Okay, that's that low height. Need to cut more this way. If a tire will do what is asked of it, it is doing the things. A little too low. I think this is going to excel at the center cut. I think that transition, like you do that better on a Tusk. A Class 2 Tusk will manage that better. Up the center, what do we get? Yeah. Like little to no wheel slip at all. Exactly what I would anticipate. Reverse down here. Try to keep that rear pumpkin from getting hung up, which is crazy because it's Capras. Yeah, see those little slips? I don't know if that's age. I have to think part of it is age, because this is a very Cougar looking tire. It doesn't quite have the height. You know, the difference between a 5.4 and a 5-inch is more than that 0.4 inches generally. It's going to translate differently. The Cougar's also much wider, but they do give me a little bit of a Cougar flavor. Not quite a chisel flavor, which is just such a surplus of forward drive that it makes you question things. The Cougar is just a fantastic driving tire. See, we get a little squidge, but we can get it back. I think the absolute best days of whatever this compound is are just a little bit past us. I think the tires have kind of firmed up a little, but in their heyday, much like most of the tires we saw of that era, just literally better than everything we're allowed to have now. I've either got a wheel coming loose, I don't know, driver front, I'm a little concerned about. We'll see. Yeah, they're right at home here. If we get past mechanicals, and I'm not running this tire on this build, you know. All other options available. This guy he's a 5.5 guy. He's a 5.4, 5.5 guy. We do the tests on the big boys, the tires that are of contemporarily questionable utility. How many rigs out there can run a 5.8 inch tall tire? Rift, something you've built on your own, you know? So that middle range, like it's genius Semfronteras that are his everyday 5.4s. Big boggers at that 5.4. That's like he's run 5 1/4s and they're pretty good, but I like that little bit of extra height brought by a 5.5. So this is a tire I think suited to a sub 340 wheelbase. I think 10 millimeters would probably be all the difference. And when we're talking about the verticality, we're talking about just over 10 millimeters being all the difference. So I don't think the claw is optimized to this guy, but they are, get it, if you can break it over. We're doing these little hitches and falls, but you know what we're not doing? Doodle bugging, baby, we ain't falling back. I don't know how much more throttle I can introduce. Oh, get it. Oh, that was... I put the fingers. We go a chef's kiss. It was so nice. Most other tires would have folded and flopped. The honestly, the little bit of widening of the turning circle is the part I'm really trying to figure out. I don't understand where that's coming from. Look at the descent. Look at the descent. Oh my goodness. That was literally top tier on that descent. That was proper good. We'll just come in hot on this side. Grab a little bit of fence. We got that lower height. So we need to make sure we're not catching our ribs. Woo! Okay. Have we seen that before? I really do stand by my description of Class 1, Class 3s. Like, we can hold that. Oh, that was nice. That was proper nice. It's a really maneuverable. Need to pull more over. Nah. Kind of get a little shooty. Need to go right. Need to go right. Yeah, just kind of like we're getting a seesaw action. It has the grip. It has the stability. That might be too much fence side. We bounce off that fence? No, we're gonna fall in. There's a little too much in the shot back. I'm having a grand time. I don't know. They are doing absolutely what is asked. They're just not optimized to this rig. His wheelbase is a little bit too long. Give it. There it is. Kind of got to work for it. Super LP22. Class 1, Class 3. Real good. Real good. Oh, that descending though. We forgive a lot of the little scratches and scrabbles heading up because that descent though. Now watch me put him right on his lid. Not with these. Oh man. That's, I don't know where, but that's a 1/10 of a point bonus just penciled in somewhere. This is my favorite Class 1, Class 3 by a lot. These just, like, they're so well balanced. And while I still think they're not optimized for Wolverine's footprint, like, look at the stability. They don't get loose anywhere. There's that little bit of loss of turning circle. So I think they would want a little bit more caster in the front end than perhaps this axle can provide. But as these are a 5-inch, I would see these more on a regular, on a like 200 wide axle. Some kind of portal, maybe on a straight. Is that 5-inch on a straight? Maybe these on a nice straight axle build? Yeah, I'd be looking for a home for these. It's that thing, you know? There is certainly an X factor, and we can't really score for X factor. The claw, it's not gonna top the leaderboard, right? Because we go by absolute scoring, which is based on evaluation. Are we off it or on it? Off it or on it? Took it with us. I like it the best. This is Losi's, and we, I think our catalog of Losi tires tested sits at this one. This is the Losi, this is the Proline flat iron. It's not the best one, but it's the one I like the best. In terms of normal ones. Like, the chisel is so good, it almost comes back around to where you're like, well, I don't need this. This is gonna ruin everything for me. That's kind of how I feel about this in its somewhat universal parity to the flat iron. It's not the best one, but I really, really like the behavior. I like the pattern of performance. It's really well-rounded. And I wish we could have met when we were both young and more capable. But the universe chose for us to meet today. Add another walk back to the shop to the list. I think that's 5. It's 4 or 5 walks back because both front tires were coming off. Driver front was almost off. It was like 2.5 turns on the wrench to get that tire back on. That was stupendacular. That was stupidiotic. There are moments, and this is where it's great. This is where the Claw is great. There are moments where it trends towards just gross. For the most part, though, a proper driver's tire, a real Panther Cougar vibe. I was initially slightly crestfallen because I felt that when we initiated, I was like, that's not the kind of forward drive that we've come to expect out of some proper hieroglyphics. They're coming right back around. I'm also seeing, hey, there's our turning circles back. look at whoop, because we're not dragging a loose wheel. Oh, so good. Can you do a low pull? A low pull will give you a little feather, a little side action. If the motor is going whoa, 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 and you can pull a face like that, then you're doing okay. Little bump. Oh! They don't have that sidewall. They don't have, like, there's not a lot of rebound to the foam. So you go, oh, it just, ooh, oh. There we go. We try to get some return. We want to get a big boom. Boom. Because of the kind of, there's a little bit of a C shape. There's a little cup shape to the face right there. What happens is we're kicking this side. And then when we come down, we kick to the other side. And we come down, we kick to the other side. It has a bump so predictable. And I'm giving it way too much throttle. Like, that's how much you have to give it. I'm talking like a 10% bump. This tire can bump. Oh, disgusting. Oh, it moved from gross to disgusting. It's a good place to be. And then there were 2. The hardest one and the easiest one. Hans and Wet Rock. Oh, that was good. As long as we stay tidy up at the top, I want to push right. Oh, okay. That was just me getting way too cute with it. Will that rear stay? Oh, easily. Oh! Let me tell you something. That placement was all me. That was precisely where I wanted that front end to land. Oh, and it did it. We're coming in even hotter. I think I've got more of this side available to me without it sliding. Might have gotten, oh, too cute again. Oh, that pull right there, where the rear didn't come down and head bonk the yellow side. That was everything. This is 9.9 stuff. Yeah, have we hit that ball both times? Yeah. But the tires didn't, I did. The positionability in this environment, like the easier stuff, I guess is too easy for these. That right there, oh God. No, you didn't. Before we came right to here, this was my favorite Class 1, Class 3. That 5-inch 2.2 in there with the hammer and the Rover and all the tires in this particular size. This is so far out ahead of those. I mean, the score is not gonna really super accurately reflect it because it's gonna get like a 1/10 more than others. But that performance right there, that is a straight up 9.9, and that's as high as it goes. That is a performance here that I would consider giving a 10 because it is perfect. That is absolutely everything I want that tire to do. It did it without questioning. That rear tire, when you watch that passenger rear come out past yellow ball, and I kid you not, maybe with the exception of 2 or 3 other tires that we have tested historically, every one to a tire would have slid and hit that yellow ball, and that tire didn't do it. I try to get out there on that line, and tires can't get out there to that line. That is, we were here, guys. We were together in a moment, in my recollection, absolutely unique. And all now that remains is the wah-ta-ta-ta, ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Yes, we have a foam to tire collaboration now. We hit bean one more time, and we'll do a dry hit. Oh, so good. Oh yeah. Did they just need to get dirted up? Did they need to get dirted up? I think, as per usual, foam to tire is quite important. I don't, like, this isn't, I stand by it. This isn't the tire for this guy. He needs that little bit of extra height, and he can benefit from a little bit less width on the tire because he's already pretty wide. Like more PSI. So we might be in a little too low of a PSI situation for his tire, his weight, his size, his width. You'd never know it from these. I'm using like 22% throttle. They don't know it's wet. The car does not know that it's wet. Difficult side for the wrap. Clear belly, little skid drag. You'd never know. Humans cannot detect if they are wet or not. They can only determine differential in temperature. We do not have the sensor to feel wet, and neither do the Losi Rock Claws. They can't tell that it's wet. They don't know. Pick your line. Go there. That is, worst case, a 0.1 reduction for wet performance. We go back down it. You notice that little shuttle to the left? We had a little left push, a little left shimmy. Here's where the little left shimmy came from. We go like this. Disgusting. Not just my favorite Class 1, Class 3. Rapidly, in just these few brief minutes, one of my favorite tires that there is. And we arrive. We arrive on a 98.3. This tire was disturbingly consistent. To get above a 98, as you know, you have to get a couple 9.9s. We arrived at a 98.3 by going 98, 98, 99, 98, 98, 98, 98, 99, 99, 98. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do this right here. Okay. Can my arms get it far enough out? I'm gonna go like that. I'm giving it a 10. I'm giving it a 10. We don't give 10s here. We don't give 10s here. We didn't give 10s here. 98.4. For reference, the White Rover is a 98.5. The 2.2 Rupture is a 98.5. And then the Proline Hammer was a 98.2. This is the only tire. This would have been the first tire to score 98.3. I think it's a 98.4. I think if it was young, and I think if it was on a vehicle more optimized to it, I think it could pass the Rover. I think it could pass 2.2 LP Rupture, which is big talk. That's real big talk. 98.4 is, if anything, underscored. It was so immediate. Oh, what is on the board? Where is the Cougar on the board? Is it 99? Yeah. So a Cougar is, a 99, and I gave the Sedona 99 plus and a 98.8 to the Chisel. It's not. There is a rift. There is a void and a divide and a chasm and a consult your thesaurus for the gap that exists between a 98.4 and a 98.8. The Chisel is another order of magnitude more drive than what comes out of these. But for a tire of this stature, it's not even close. It's not even close. It is my favorite small Class 3 by a wide margin, and I think the score trends to it pretty well. I'm pretty comfortable with a 98.4. Sentimental value would take it at least to the 98.5, and as I say, a sentiment formed over the course of less than an hour. Like, my wheel time on these is 30 minutes. So good. So good. I was nervous about hitting the wet. I was like, oh, please just don't let them slip. They don't care. Old compounds were better, objectively, at everything. We are now driven not by crawling lines, but by bottom lines. And what they provide to us is what they can do to give you the least for the most and have you not complain about it. Tires like this fill me with equal measures of joy and rage. Joy in that I get to experience them, rage in that they've decided that we can't have them anymore. Some rampant, insert air here, millionaire. Are millionaires even like a thing? Like, do people care if you have $1 million? Like, a house costs $500,000. So, like, what's $1 million, right? Some rampaging millionaire, maybe just under a billionaire, needs to start making tires. They need to find these molds. They need to find the molds from old Cougars and Chisels and Leopards and Rock Claws and all of them, and they just need to bring them back. Because we don't care. We don't care what the rule makers are like, oh, well, in the spirit of competition, then just put all these tires in a division together. How hard is that? Every racing class out there has unlimited. Just make an unlimited class. Then these tires can come back. Because if it's the manufacturers bowing to the rule-making entities, which are completely random, where the points don't matter and the rules are made up. If the companies that manufacture tires, whether as a living or part of their living, are obeying these rules and deciding to discontinue product lines because of that, I think that's only part of it. I think the primary portion is it probably cost more as a percentage of the sale price of the tire to produce these than it does to produce the tires they make today. I don't even think that's a conspiracy theory. I think it's called managing headroom. It's called managing your bottom line. And we get it. They have to stay in business or we get no tires at all. But give it a try. Give it a try. I complain about tire prices all the time, but if a set of those cost $5 more than a set of other tires, I'll pay the $5. I think it's fairly simple. I think where we got today was fairly simple. It was the review of the Losi Rock Claws and one of my favorites, right up there. Shoots up to the top of the leaderboard. In my top 10, maybe I would put it in my top 5. Top 5 Canyon tires. There it is, right there, one of those. With a relatively limited fitment. Like, you can't put it on everything. Don't care. I'm going to have to find some more of these. Do they exist? I don't know. Somebody will point it out in the comments. I hope if you have anything to say or not say, or just a thought that you have, put it in the comments. I drove out of frame too soon. Here we go. We'll come back this way. I hope that you tune in for whatever we have coming up next. I hope that in between now and then, you one and all do your very, very best to have a good one. Yeah, that's it. Kind of riding a high here. Like it was good, but unlike the chisel, it wasn't too good. I really like these. I don't know if I established that clearly or not during this review. Oh, they are proper good, though. Hope your day is proper good. We'll see you next time here from the Canyon. Thanks for stopping by.